Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home.
Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive. And I'm sharing today on this show about something that I think is going to be probably close to home for you. Okay. If you're like me. Yeah. And if you're here at the Heal Your Hunger Show for the first time, welcome. So glad you're here. And I am recording this live in the Secret Sauce group. If you haven't joined us in the Secret Sauce group, it's a group on Facebook called the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating. Please go there and request to join. That's where I do so many of my podcast recordings. That's why I have guest speakers. That's where we have special announcements. And it's a great first step in just kind of being among your kind, people who struggle with food and weight, but are sick of dieting. Okay, so that's what we do with Heal Your Hunger and the Secret Sauce group, is we talk about the real issues around healing. Also, if you are not sure if you're an emotional eater and you're like, I don't know if that applies to me, or maybe you're thinking you might be a food addict, whatever the terminology, you can determine where you are on the spectrum of emotional eating and food addiction and get a personalized score when you take my special quiz. And this quiz is on the homepage of my website, which is healyourhunger.com. So take the quiz and find out if you're an emotional eater or a food addict or somewhere in between, and get the next steps for how to heal that, because God knows it's a burden to deal with, and it's very unlikely you're going to be able to overcome it on your own. So let us help. Heal Your Hunger is here to help and support you. And if you're also just ready to get off the diet roller coaster ride, but you need an action plan for healing, you're always welcome to sign up for a breakthrough session. On my website, you can apply to have a breakthrough session at healyourhunger.com. Okay, on with the show. Do you find yourself having secrets about your food behaviors? This is very common for emotional eaters. And I mean, it's not only common, it's endemic to the emotional eater's experience. You know, we don't want people to know what we're doing with food. It's embarrassing, it's shameful. It's certainly not something we want people to know about. And so I want to let you know that you're not the only one who's eaten the way you've eaten, hidden foods the way you've hidden foods, done shameful things like eating out of the garbage, if you've done that, or whatever, gone to the store late at night. I've done that, literally 12 o'clock midnight, I'm headed to the store getting binge foods and feeling terribly ashamed about it. I've certainly eaten other people's food when I lived with other people, roommates and such, and then went to the store to buy replacement food, and again, put it in the comment section if you've done that. There's so many things. I had a girlfriend once tell me that when she was babysitting at somebody's house, after babysitting, the family called her, the father called her and said, hey, we found your bracelet in the cereal box. Because she'd been reaching her hand into the cereal box and her bracelet fell in there, and they found it the next morning as they were pouring their cereal. So, there's so many shameful things that we do around food, thinking we're the only ones, when in fact, so many of us have done that. But the idea that our eating is secretive and we're hiding that secret, it certainly exacerbates our sense of loneliness, our sense of isolation, and our sense that, that we're separate from others. And doesn't that feeling alone contribute often to more eating, more binging, right? Like when we feel alone, when we feel like we don't have somebody we can turn to, that intensifies our emotions. And then we binge, we turn to food to console us when we feel so isolated and alone. So secrets are very destructive for the emotional eater. Many of our secrets center around food, center around weight, the crazy things we do to try to, offset the effects of our binges. But there's other secrets that emotional eaters experience. On my recent plane ride home from Mexico, I had a beautiful trip with my sisters and mom. And on my way home, I watched the movie She Said, which had come out recently. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Not an easy film to watch necessarily, but very well done. Great actors. And it's about the Harvey Weinstein story of sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and it's very well done. And so I highly recommend it. And it's a incredibly sad story. It's a very common story, unfortunately. And it's one that I think women should watch, men and women should watch, to be clear. But I just mean that women have so many experiences of sexual abuse and sexual harassment in the workplace that they are keeping a secret. And so this movie reminded me about secrets and how sad it is when we have experiences and we keep them to ourselves. We keep them to ourselves thinking it's our fault, we caused it, we're responsible for it, or we're bad because of it. And I know for myself, I had an experience of sexual abuse as a kid, and that's exactly what I thought. I thought I was bad because I had this early childhood sexual experience that went on for 5 years, a relationship, an inappropriate sexual relationship when I was really little with somebody older. And it went on for 5 years. And I was so ashamed of myself because of this. And how sad is that? I didn't know better. I didn't know what was appropriate. It certainly, was something that was done, from somebody who was in a lot of pain and perpetrating pain on me, involving me in this way, hurt people. But I had nobody to talk to about it. Of course, it was supposed to be a secret. I was so ashamed of myself that, of course, I wanted to keep it a secret, and I suffered dearly for keeping that secret for so long. And that's really what that movie reminded me of. The movie She Said is that so many of these women had this experience with Harvey Weinstein and didn't know how common it was for other women as well, and didn't know that it was wrong, or that it didn't have to happen, or that they could put their foot down, because there were such high stakes for them. These are women trying to build, careers as actresses, and they were being manipulated and abused. And so, so many emotional eaters, so much of our emotional eating comes from early childhood sexual experiences, sexual abuse in our family, or from a family friend or relative, or God forbid, somebody of authority in the church or in schools. And so, and then in the workplace, of course, as we get older. So sadly, these experiences that we keep secret fuel our overeating. They fuel our sense of isolation. They fuel our sense of shame, which drives our overeating. And my experience is our healing journey often will and should include getting the secret out, sharing the secret with somebody, getting support in overcoming the pain of those experiences, because we are as sick as our secrets. So whether it's your secrets around overeating or secrets around the original wounds that fuel our overeating, we are as sick as our secrets. And when we hold secrets close to us, we suffer. When we hold things, in our hearts and don't tell anybody, the burden of those secrets weighs on us. The burden of those secrets makes us feel bad, makes us feel wrong, and then we feel separate. And I think that's a lot of what drives the eating as well, is a sense of separation that our secrets cause. And it could be other kinds of secrets as well. It doesn't matter what it is. We're as sick as our secrets, whatever you're holding, in your heart and keeping from others, is creating this chasm between you and others. And also, it's causing a sense of shame and guilt and unworthiness that if anybody knew, I felt like if anybody knew what I'd done as a kid sexually, if my parents knew, they would hate me. I literally believed that. If my parents knew, they would hate me. And that certainly drove me to eat, thinking I was so bad and unworthy of love because of this secret, that it certainly drove my overeating. And so, my experience is that we certainly need to confide in somebody safe, whether that be a friend or a spouse or a therapist or, somebody else who just feels safe. Certainly the safety factor is so important because it's not just the confiding. There's studies show that it's not just confiding your secret, that can give you the catharsis, but what happens after you confide your secret, that's going to help you heal. So when it's somebody who understands, somebody who feels safe, who is certainly not going to judge you, that makes a huge difference. And I know I've been so blessed to talk to women who have never confided about their eating behaviors to anybody. They are living with that secret. And so I've been so honored when I get to speak with somebody who is just starting to reach out of their shell, reach out of their sense of isolation, and share about what's going on with them and their relationship with food. And so, that certainly brings so many people so much relief. And we're so common. Again, we think we're the only ones who have done these crazy things. And that is certainly not true. And the sooner we can confide our secret, the sooner we can get support, the sooner we can realize we're not alone, the sooner we can heal. So this is so, so important, and if we keep carrying these burdens of our secrets, we're carrying a heavy load and we're making life harder for ourselves. I've spoken to many women who don't even confide in their spouse about their struggles with food, and when they reach out for help, their healing journey starts when they have a conversation with their spouse of, well, this is what I'm going through. This is what life has been like for me. I have struggled with food. I have obsessions with food. I am wrapped up in all kinds of thoughts about my body, hating on my body, binging at night. There's so many behaviors that we hide literally from our spouse. And again, any secret we have creates a sense of separation. So if you are having troubles in your relationship with your spouse, take a look at the secrets. What secrets are you holding that are keeping you separate? I believe it's really hard to have a healthy relationship if you don't have to tell your spouse everything. That's what girlfriends are for. It doesn't have to necessarily be that everything gets laid on the table, meaning, certain thoughts you have or certain, experiences you have, whatever, you don't necessarily have to tell your spouse, but you got to tell somebody. And that's sometimes what girlfriends are for, crazy thoughts, judgmental thoughts, those kinds of things. But in order to have a healthy relationship with your spouse, of course, what your experiences are in life, what you're going through, around food, or if you've had experiences in your past that have been traumatic for you, I'm hoping you have a spouse that you feel like you can share those things with. And if you've made up a story that you can't, examine that. Is it true? And sometimes you're married to somebody you don't feel safe confiding things to, and that's something to be looked at, obviously. But but it could be a story that you tell yourself that somehow your spouse wouldn't accept you, and that's probably not true. It's probably something that you could talk about, and that would only bring you closer together, not further apart. It's the secrets that keep us apart. It's the secrets that keep us separate, and that sense of isolation that comes from secrets is very destructive. So I'm just here to say you're worthy of sharing your heart. You're worthy of sharing your experiences. Don't keep things a secret. If you're struggling with food and weight, please reach out. Let the beautiful people, myself and my mentors, be the first to talk to you about your food struggles. If you haven't talked to anybody about it, book a breakthrough session, an emotional eating breakthrough session. We're happy to hear you and to witness the beginning of your healing journey. Because when you do stop hiding, when you do come out of the shadows and face up to what your struggles are and what your secrets are, oh, what a relief that can be. What an incredible relief, that can be. And that can be the start of your healing journey for sure. So I love the saying, we're as sick as our secrets, because I think it's really true. There's nothing about you that's so bad that it can't be healed, and that others wouldn't understand and help you through, it, and helping you to heal. There's nothing, my mentor used to say, all God's children got problems, and also he used to say, none of us have created any new sins. He's like, nobody thought up any new sins. They've all been tried. They've all been done. They've all been committed. There are no new sins. You're not that creative. So if you think you're so bad and have done something so terrible, I assure you, it's just not true. Okay, it's just not true. And I 100% believe that no matter what it is, no matter how bad it is or you think it is, there's nothing that can't be healed. There's nothing that can't be forgiven, especially with a beautiful, loving God, and I believe that God is forgiving and loving, and there's nothing you can't be forgiven for. So stop hiding, stop keeping those secrets to yourself, reach out, unburden yourself in whatever way feels best to you, so that you can stop carrying that terrible weight of shame and separateness, and isolation that comes with secrets. So I can't wait for you to heal and to come out of the shadows. You deserve that. And your light is too bright to hide under a mountain of food and a mountain of shame, yeah, that's my message. Okay. I hope that's helpful. And please reach out if you're ready to heal your relationship with food. We're here for you. And that's what the Heal Your Hunger journey is all about. So thank you. I hope you comment. Love to hear it. Sending you so much love.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.